We've only been doing this for like a week and a half, and yet it feels like we've been on this mission forever, but we finally come to the finale of the 2019 edition of the Gauntlet of Garbage, the series of reviews where we look back at the worst films of the previous year, all leading up to our worst films of the year list. And we were saving this one. This was one of the first films we watched for this year's Gauntlet of Garbage. We were like, oh no, we have to save this till the end. Oh, we gotta go out on this. I tweeted out like some of my initial thoughts about this, and people didn't even know what the hell I was talking about with this one. Because this thing, it got really famous on YouTube for like 15 minutes because the trailer came out and everybody said, that can't be an actual thing. And everybody did trailer reactions, but nobody wanted to actually watch the movie. So we have now watched the movie, and I know some people out there are going to say, well, should this even really count? Because this was an indie film. It really just went around and got submitted to festivals. Amazon bought this up. Amazon bought this up so they could put it out there for free on Prime. So I'm counting it as a release. And I will just go ahead and say, congratulations, Amazon. The way you treat your employees is no longer the worst thing you did in 2019. We are talking about Loqueesha. Just
even saying that title,
it still makes me go, I don't want to talk about, like, for the title card of the Gauntlet of Garbage, we have a picture of me like, yeah, because it's fun to talk about bad movies, right? It's fun coming in here and complaining about bad movies. I don't even want to use that title card because I don't want to have an image of me smiling anywhere near
I'll just Photoshop it so the smile is upside down. Like, eh.
You know what? Let's do it, see if anyone catches that. You know what? No, you're too professional. I'll do it and make it look crappy. Oh. So what this movie is about is about this bartender named Joe, and he gives out really great advice, and his kid is about to go off to this new high school, and it's got a tuition fee that is too much for him to afford.
Oh, by the way, he's divorced, so...
Yeah, okay, so which I get, that does come into play a little bit. I guess we didn't need to bring that up. So he sees this advertisement for a radio station that is looking to recruit a new talk show personality. And he submits his demo tape and gets rejected. And then he sees these two black women arguing on a daytime talk show. Oh. We will talk about that. We'll talk about it. I know you want to get into that. I know you want to get into it. Put a pin in it for now. We got to get this whole plot out here. And he looks at it and goes, I bet they would have hired me if I was a black woman. And so then he does this horrendously stereotypical impersonation of a black woman on a tape, submits that, yes, you're instantly hired, yes, we absolutely want to work with you. And so he then starts going in there as Loqueesha, and he starts hosting this radio show that becomes a nationwide hit. Maybe, I don't really know, like, the far reach of this, but it sounds like he has now replaced that lady who comes on in the grocery store talking about how you need to use Jesus to find love, or whatever her name is. You all know who I'm talking about, by the way. But yeah, it sounds like he's got, like, nationwide success with this thing. He has blown up. Everyone is in love with Loqueesha. And, of course, there's the whole element of the fact that he's a white man pretending to be a black woman to get these views in there. And
Not really views since he's on a radio.
Whatever, you know what they are. To get the numbers up.
The ratings.
Yes. But some of you might hear this and you might think, okay, so this is gonna be like really like self-conscious of like how terrible this is, right? And it's gonna be really aware, and they're going to explore some of the issues that come with the racism of what he's doing. No!
Nope.
No. Take all those thoughts in your head, just erase that shit. Actually, you know what? No.
No, actually, there are some characters that point out that he's being sexist and racist, but then he's like, no, I'm not, and it's...
Well, I guess. Oh, Joe. Yeah, I was about to say, it's like, no, hold on. We can't move on from this. We do have to bring up the only thing they do worse in this film than being racist and sexist is they will have characters occasionally come in here to address that he's being racist and sexist, And then he just like instantly flips that back on them and is like, oh, I never really thought about that. You're right. And then problem solved. Oh, wow. This isn't, okay, so it's one thing for you to be ignorant of what you're doing. It's another thing to be aware of what you're doing and then stop the entire film to go, if you have a problem with this, it's your problem. I'm clean on this thing. This is all on you, audience. Ooh, man. So let's talk about the most obvious problem with this, which is obviously the production value of it. Sorry, we will get into, I don't even feel like we need to discuss that other, like, how, I don't even feel like we really have to discuss how stupid the concept of this is.
No, here's the thing. When the movie starts, the opening credits is Two Guys Production Presents, and it's like, well, that's all we need to know about this.
The name of the production company is just Two Guys Presents. So.
A Two Guys Production.
I'm not saying that I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the Two Guys Production, but it really, like, the moment that comes up, you just instantly picture two guys sitting around and going, you know what the problem with America is today, right? Like, that's immediately the image that comes in your mind when you realize what film they just made. Now, I'm just gonna go ahead and say, there have been a lot of other critics out there who have tackled this film, and they have been able to sum up in a much more eloquent way the problems with the racism and sexism of this film than I ever will be able to. So I implore you, audience, go out there, find other critics who are smarter than me, and listen to what they have to say about this film, because this is going to be another one of those films where I'm going to try and put my thoughts into words about what we just saw, but I know it's going to come out a jumbled mess. We've been doing this for years, and I know when I see something that just diffuses the circuits in my brain as hard as this one did, I'm going to break down into just a jumbled mess of a human being. So I'm just warning you, that's coming.
Some movies are so shit that it turns your brain to shit.
Oh my god. So, okay, let's try center. But yeah, this entire film, you can tell from watching it that the guy who made this, which he's a stand-up comedian, and there are some other stand-up comedians in here, so it's clear that, like, it's some guy who's been going on the road, and this character of Laquisha is just a character he's been doing for a while, which, the opening of this film is, when he's giving advice to people at the bar, it's kind of like his mixtape. It's kind of like his one-man show, almost. Just he got other characters to come in here. It's basically him just going, well, here's my 5. Here's my 5 of what I can do. Do you want to put me on tonight? No? Okay. Too offensive? Okay, I
also
understand.
incredibly forced foreshadowing.
Okay. Yeah, this thing, it opens up with this woman coming into the bar, and
no, even before that.
I know, but we're getting in there. We can't go through every step of this thing.
Fair enough.
This woman comes to this bar, and she sits down, and you want to know the level of writing in this movie. She sits down and just goes, men. Someone wrote that. Someone in 2019 wrote that on a piece of paper and went, yeah, that's how people talk. Yeah.
That's how women talk.
Yeah. Because we're Two Guys Production. We don't need to go and ask any women or actually talk to women to make sure that's actually how they behave. Nah, two guys have figured this out. Two guys cracked the code of women issues. You're welcome, America. My hair is doing like a weird Wolverine thing right now. That's the least important thing of what's going on. But she comes in and she's complaining about like her boyfriend or husband or whatever it was. Like he's, I think he was like cheating on her or something, or like they just didn't get along anymore. And
like he was just being a jerk, I guess.
Just being a jerk. But then Joe goes on this big tear about how it's like, yeah, don't you tear down all men, because it's like they literally like start off with not all men as we get this thing. So he's like going down the checklist on this shit. But he comes in here and then goes like, listen, you need to go back, you need to do this, you need to do this. And he's like, you know what? You're right. You're really good advice. You should really be on radio and give advice like this. And then she leaves, and then she comes back like, everything worked out. So I've been thinking I need to help you out and help you get on radio. So she does like the mixtape for him, sends off, doesn't come back, doesn't work. And like we said, he's then just seen two black women on TV, and they are just, it is the most Jerry Springer, like just yelling back and forth at each other.
Like
And they are
Jerry Springer.
They are on a green screen.
They are.
And here's the thing about green screens, everybody out there. This is like beginner filmmaking shit. I understand you can't build a set for everything. Sometimes you gotta use a green screen for that stuff. I mean, ta-da.
It's like, no, it reminds
No, hold on, let me get this out. But when you're using a green screen, don't do it, do not get the entire body on the green screen. Unless you actually have in place a floor and a backdrop for them. If all you have is the backdrop and it's all flat, don't show the entire body, because then you just have people hovering in empty space. Then you have two people flying against the backdrop. This is beginner level green screen shit. Like literally the moment that you see it, you go, oh shit, crop that so we don't see the feet. That is so easy to do. Why on earth would you show the entire body in there? The moment I saw that, I had to tweet out, this is like Birdemic, but racist. Because that's the level of quality that you get for some of these scenes.
Like, that scene actually did remind me of the scene in Birdemic where they had the news,
Yep.
and the image
Exactly
they had
what I was thinking.
and they used the photo stock image on the news flash.
Yeah. This is literally like some Birdemic effects, which, in all fairness, Birdemic was about the effects. This is not about the effects. But anytime that they do need effects, it just screams. It screams how incompetent the filmmaking is in here. And there's another thing coming up in here that remind me to get back to this, but there's another moment of just the worst filmmaking that I have seen. It's one of those things that's like, this is literally one of the first things they teach you when you start studying how to make a movie. Like, if you literally just Google how to make a movie, this is one of the first things that comes up, and they don't do it. So, anywho, he looks at these two black women and goes, I bet they'd give me a show if I was like you guys. And then he makes, like, the Laquisha character and submits that in. And you can tell from that moment in there that the guy making this movie, he is one of those, you know what's wrong with American, you know what's wrong with comedy, is that everybody's too uptight, everybody's too worried about being offended these days. You can tell by looking at that this guy's like MO. This is his philosophy when it comes to comedy. Everybody's just too afraid to be offended by anything.
No, it's like Joe says specifically in the movie, nobody wants to listen to a white man anymore.
Oh, you're right. I forgot that exact line was in there. Which, by the way, it gets so much worse. It gets so much worse, and we'll get to that. But you can tell by looking at this guy that his entire, like, philosophy is everybody is upset with my comedy because they're too easily offended. And like, all right, you know what, man? You made a film. You made a film that was untouched by any producers. It was entirely your point of view. It was entirely your sense of humor. This is a bad, unfunny movie. So if this was your, like, thesis statement, to come in here and go, this is why you all need to get over being so offended, I will continue to clutch my pearls and be offended by as much stuff as I want to be offended about, because, oh my God, this was awful. This is the thing you're coming in here to say, this is what comedy should be. Oh, you failed. You failed 100% to bring anyone to your side. I have looked on the internet. No one's defending this.
Was this supposed to be a comedy? Like...
Up until the moment it becomes like a creepy fanatic level style horror movie where they don't... This almost contains all the terrible things that we have seen all year in the Gauntlet of Garbage. It's got the racism of Rainbow Last Stand. It's got the back and forth storytelling of the fanatic. It's got the incompetent filmmaking of The Haunting of Sharon Tate. It's got everything. This is the turducken of crappy films for 2019. So... yeah, you can. I just wanted to quickly come in here and make that clear that, yeah, man, listen, if you want to come in here and say, I feel like everybody is too easily offended by films these days and that everybody just needs to learn to laugh again, this was an awful attempt to try and get that thesis across. I'm not on your side after this, man. The entire point of this film was to try and win people over to your side. No one's on your side after this movie. In fact, I even saw it when I was trying to look up the name of some of the actors in this film, because there's one guy in here, Dwayne Perkins, who was a stand-up comedian who I remember from a long time ago. And I always thought his stand-up comedy was okay, but I remember him being on a lot of podcasts and radio shows like decades ago. And I thought he was really talented on those. So when he popped up in here, I went, oh, please tell me that's not him. No, that can't be him. No. And I looked it up, and it was him. And I saw that, like, that guy was getting so much shit for this. And this guy, like, it's not like his career was ruined by this, but I did see some articles about how he was having trouble getting work now because of this. Like, oh my God, this thing turned so many people against this. Even people who aren't the star of this, even the people who are like, hey man, it's a check. I'm just here for that thing. Even they're in trouble for this thing.
It's like Trolls 2.
Oh God, you're right. Oh. So, yeah, this guy, he gets the job then as Laquisha, but he needs like someone to like run the board for him. And that's when this is the level of bad storytelling that's in here. He's at the bar and he's going, hey, do you know anybody who's a producer? Oh, hey, hold on a second. Walks over to this character we have not seen throughout the entire film. Oh, hey, character's name. Oh, hey, Joe. Okay. So they just know each other. You're a producer, right? Yeah.
Well, problem solved.
You do know that when you're writing a script out, you're allowed to go back and make changes to it. Like, if you think of a thing that needs to come into the story at one point, you can go back and set that up earlier in this. Like, scripting is not like filming, right? Where, oh man, it's already filmed. Okay, well, I guess we got that now. Which even that, you can go back and film other scenes. You don't have to shoot a movie in order. But when you get to that point where it's like, oh man, I really need someone to produce this show. I didn't think about that. He has a friend who is a producer. I'm a genius. I'm so smart, my big brain hurts my neck at times. Go back and add that character in earlier. It's that simple. So he goes up to him and it's literally just, do you know anyone who's a producer? Hold on. Hi, character's name. Hi, Joe. You're a producer, right? Wow. So he pulls the guy into the back room and goes, listen, I gotta tell you something. So I got this show, running a radio show. I got this job running a radio show. Oh, hey man, that's great. Congratulations. Problem is, they think that I'm a black woman named Loqueesha. Okay, Joe, sure. That's it. Like, this guy has no problems with that revelation. Not even does he not have problems, he doesn't have follow-up questions.
No, and like, he's black too, so it's
we gotta point that out. The guy who runs the show, the producer on the show, and his friend, the guy who just suddenly appeared to be a producer, he is a black guy, and he also has a love interest in this movie, who is a black woman. And they constantly feel like they just include these characters just so they could turn to the audience and go, I'm not racist, I have a black friend.
Yeah.
That is entirely what they are here for. Mm-hmm. They are here just to be his I get to be Laquisha free card. That is the entire, that is all that they are in this movie. They are just here so that way they can turn to the audience and go, well, if you're offended by this, then I guess you're offended at my black friend as well, okay?
It's like, they're not offended, so you shouldn't be either.
Yeah, like oh, wow. That's a whole other level of ignorance that's thrown in this movie. Listen, it's fine for me to say these things. I'm paying some black guys to be here, so clearly I'm in the clear on this, right? No, you're very racist. You're racist for two reasons now. I told you that I was going to be stuttering and stammering and just an emotional mess during this thing. But so Laquisha ends up taking the country by storm, and you see people just tuning in and listening and everybody applying this. And again, there's so many people that it cuts to. Like, it will cut to a black woman who just goes, you go, girl. Which, oh my God, that's out of date for even like the 90s. Like, by the end of the 90s, we were like, yeah, we're nobody's saying that anymore. We're all past that. But again, it's another sign of like this guy coming in here and just being like, yeah, I know what black people like. Me, Mr. White Guy, and the other white guy, because we're two guys productions. Like, I don't know why that's so funny to me.
Here's what kind of another thing that annoys me about...
I was gonna say, there's no one really annoying thing about this film. It's just another thing on the list.
It's like, I understand that they're trying to make Joe like this guy who always knows the right thing to say, but like when he's on a talk show, it's almost like he's psychic.
Yes!
And it's like,
almost like someone wrote this out and didn't think of the way to write the response to it.
It's like one caller's like, "Hi, I'm Dan." He's like, no, that's not your name. What's your real name?
How the fuck would anyone know that?
It's like,
yeah, I remember we looked at that and just went, oh, okay, so you're God. All right. I thought God would have better things to do than just this. All right, sure. Oh, you're using all your psychic problems for evil here, Joe. All your psychic problems? All your psychic powers for evil, sorry. So, there comes a moment in here in which we start to see him doling out this advice, and this was the line that made us almost turn this thing off and just like, we need a day. We need like a moment to just let this pass by us and refresh ourselves, come back again tomorrow, team, and try again. But he was talking about, why don't white people ever say what they're actually thinking? Why don't white people ever actually say what they want? White people are slaves to their emotions. After all this time, white people have become the slaves. That's the actual line that he says in here. I went, you did not just have a white man pretend to be a black person so they could come in here and say, white people are the real slaves, everyone. Oh my God, that is not what actually happened in here. Please tell me no. No, that's what happened. They wrote that in the script and they thought it would be a good idea to put it in their movie. That is how just like insanely like oblivious to how terrible this is.
Like the secondhand embarrassment you experience.
Thank you. That's the perfect term.
From this movie. It's like, I don't want to sit through any more of this.
It's like I feel like I am becoming a worse person by watching this. Like that is what this movie feels like. Like, I feel like if I was in a room with someone who said that, I would at least get up and walk away from them. But I have to keep watching this for this show. So I feel just shitty. I feel just terrible having to sit through this.
It's like we need to make an apology video for watching
this thing. Listen, I don't know how Amazon works. I don't know if I end up giving money to him because of Prime. I don't know if that works in one way or another, but yeah, I feel like I need to do something after seeing this. So there's like another moment in here where like a white guy calls in and says like, yeah, what do you even know about being a white man? You don't know how hard white people have it these days. And I can understand, like this is the first example in this movie of him trying to come in here and going, listen, what I'm doing isn't racist. What that guy's doing is racist. But then he comes in there and then he makes the speech about like, I don't even know what the fuck this speech was. He comes in here and it seems like he's trying to make a speech about how white people don't understand the struggles of black people, but he's also making a speech about how the reason he's mad isn't even because of Loqueesha, but it's because of like the job that this guy has. He's trying to make a speech about several different things, and they're playing this music in the background. It sounds like some Final Fantasy, like
they're trying to make this like a very emotional thing when it's just absolute bullshit.
It is the big emotional moment in which they're playing like harps and like an orchestra is singing in the background to make it seem like he is doing this huge, beautiful, amazing, important thing, and we should all be thankful of the sacrifice that Joe is making right now. It's like, he's not doing anything. Like, the speech he's making means nothing. Like, he's just saying a bunch of things that he has heard other people say in a situation like this and cramming them all together into a word soup that really means nothing, what he's actually saying here. But it's one of those moments where he's trying to come in here and say, I'm not actually racist because I said these things. But the things you said were the most cookie cutter like responses to what that guy is saying, and you're using so many different things at once that they don't actually mean anything.
That's like the guy who calls like, you don't understand what it's like to be a white man, and then Joe goes, you don't understand what it's like to be a black woman. It's like, neither do you, Joe. Like,
Jesus. Oh my God. Yeah, so there's just stuff like that all throughout this. We're not gonna go through every single second of this movie, but there is shit like that all throughout this movie. But I want to get up to the point where you would assume that the big twist of this, the big thing that happened at the end, is that people would learn his true identity. That would be the crisis that comes about. Nope. The crisis that comes about is that all of a sudden Laquisha starts becoming their own personality. Like he starts arguing with himself, or he is making out with his girlfriend, and then he starts talking as Loqueesha, and he starts driving away like, what was that? And then Laquisha starts answering back, and then he starts talking to Laquisha, and he's going back and forth. He's Golluming himself, and he can't stop himself from doing it. So we think, okay, I didn't expect that to be where the movie goes, where this is a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde situation, but I guess this is where we're going now. But then he goes back to the radio station, he sits down, and he then fakes being a caller and has a conversation with himself, and Laquisha gives him advice, and again, it's advice that doesn't really match the odd situation that he's in right now. It's just basic-ass normal advice that you could give for any real situation, but that cures him, and he goes, okay, I'm good. Little tear come, see, I'm acting. I had a little tear come down right there, like, yes, I have grown, and I have learned. Thank you, me. The only person who can make this guy see the error of his ways is himself. That's how fucking arrogant this guy is in this movie.
Well, that's what happens when you're psychic and you know all the answers.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's why he knew. Oh, that's why he actually knew who was calling in advance and all their problems. It's because he was really some fourth dimensional being living inside his head. Oh, this is some weird H.P. Lovecraft shit going on right now, everybody. Spoiler and twist we didn't see coming. But no, this scene right here, it solves the problem. Like that. So in other words, this big crisis that gets introduced in the third act is immediately resolved as if it wasn't important at all to the overall storyline. It feels like it was put in here for padding, but I think this thing is like over 90 minutes, so they didn't even need this for padding. They could have taken it out and it still would have been the acceptable running time for a feature-length presentation. It's just this weird, like he just got this random idea that this will be a plot point, and they put it in there and immediately resolved it. But I want to talk about this. I said there was a bit of filmmaking in here that was like it drove me nuts. It was ghastly, the bit of filmmaking in here. They've got him talking to himself, and they're doing a split screen in here, but there's no like fade between this split screen. There's no nothing to make the transition from Joe to Joe any easier on the eyes.
Joe to Joqueesha. Yeah. Joqueesha.
So there is just a hard-ass cut in the middle of the screen, and it is jarring to look at. But in filmmaking, there's this rule, and it's got a couple different names for it, but I always knew it as the 180-degree rule, where basically when you have two people talking, there's a line that you don't cross, because if you cross that line with the camera, it will make somebody who is facing this direction suddenly look like they're facing that direction. So you don't do it. You don't cross that line.
Yeah.
He keeps crossing that line continuously all throughout this, and it's just one guy talking.
And it's so
It's not even two people talking, and he still crosses the 180-degree rule. And he won't even have Joe on this side and Laquisha on that side. He'll swap back and forth what side they're on. This is some of the most jarring filmmaking I've ever seen, and all you had to do was shoot one person. How? How did this happen? My voice is cracking. I'm so upset at this. Oh my God. Sorry, you wanted to say something?
Well, I just wanted, like, the lead up to all this, like, the person they hired to be the face of
That was the next thing I was got to There came a moment in which, like, he comes up with an excuse about how he's incredibly agoraphobic, so he doesn't want anybody to see him. So whenever he goes in the studio, everyone has to clear out except for him and his producer. He says that, like, people are chasing him down so no one can see his face. But then they're like, well, we're not continuing this unless we can finally see your face. We need to slap your face up on billboards. Which I don't know why he didn't just go like, here, I'm going to commission an artist to draw a picture of me, and you can use that on billboards. And like, well, something. So what they do is they have to interview people. They have to interview people to be the face of Laquisha. And this, I'm going to take this from the Double Toasted guys, because they pointed something out about, like, they were talking about the racism of this film, and they pointed out something that I hadn't even thought about, but they interview people. And one of the very first people that they interview is someone going, "Hello, everyone. It's so good to be here. I'm glad to meet every single one of you." Like, talking very proper, very mature. And it cuts back to their reactions of them interviewing them, like... So in other words, the shocked reaction they had is not to a crazy character, but to the black woman who came in actually pronouncing all their words correctly and actually not talking like a big stereotype. That was the one that actually made them go, "Oh, that's not what? Does not compute. Oh my God, burn down Two Guys Studios right now. None of this is working." Yeah, that was, like, again, they're right. That is another level of racism that I hadn't even recognized in this film. But yeah, it just shows how insanely ignorant this guy is of what he is actually making in this thing. But they do eventually get someone in there to be the face of Laquisha.
It's like, honestly, like, before you go any further, like, because there is so much racism in this movie that I legitimately thought that they were gonna dress up Joe in a dress and have him in blackface. I seriously thought it was gonna go that far.
This entire film feels like if that happened, it would not be out of character for this film. You would not have guessed, you would not have looked at this film and been like, "I can't believe they're going here." You would look at this film and be like, "This is exactly what this film was leading up to." You know, from the second that this movie started, it was always going to end like this. It was always going to lead up to this. So yeah, they get this woman to be Loqueesha.
Thankfully they didn't, but still, the fact that I was worried that would go there is messed up enough.
Yeah. Yeah, it really cannot be. It really cannot be understood how we actually had to come in here and say, "Thank God this film didn't do blackface." But there comes a moment in this movie where I really don't even want to keep talking about this film because I feel like I'm promoting it in some way. Because I know what happens when I talk about bad film. Enough people end up going, "Well, I gotta go out there and see it." Don't!
No!
Do not!
No!
Watch The Fanatic! You know what? That's also on Amazon Prime. Watch The Fanatic, watch The Haunting of Sharon Tate. Both those are on Amazon Prime right now. Go and check that shit out if you want to watch a bad movie. Do not watch this shit. I had to do it for this job.
We watched it so you wouldn't have to!
Yes, okay. So they start plastering her face up on, like, buses and stuff, which they put her face on all kinds of things, and one of the things they put her on was the side of a bus. And again, I'm not good enough with special effects to be able to fake a sign on the side of a bus. Hell, these people are probably better at it than I am. They probably did a better job than I could possibly have done, advertising on the side of this fake-ass bus. But you know what I wouldn't have done? Attempt to advertise on the side of this bus, because I knew that I wouldn't be able to do it. We need a fake ad. Billboard. It stands still. It's there. Newspaper. You can print that ad out. Insert it inside of a newspaper. Flyers. Print that out. Put on telephone poles. You can make fake things so easily. And they decided that the one thing they were going to fake would be the thing that moves and changes its size based on how far away it is from you. That's what they decided to make the fake ad in here. So you see on the side of a bus, and it is like shifting and changing inside, and like Laquisha's face is sliding around on that thing. It's like, wow, those 3D ads are really coming along. I can't believe we've reached that level of technology right now. Which after that, she ends up going up to a building, and she's supposed to have this huge crowd outside. It's 4 people.
4 people.
There are 4 people outside, and one guy's going insane, like, yay, yay.
A white guy, by the way.
And I had this thought last night when I was thinking about this film. Can you imagine being one of those 4 extras to be the crowd outside? You didn't know what this movie was. You saw an ad in the paper for extras. Show up for 30 minutes of work and you get paid $20. I'll do that, sure, whatever. And then you go, and it's like, what's the name of this movie? Laquisha? All right, sure, whatever. I'll do that, I'll be in this. And then you go in there, yeah, oh my goodness, yes, I can't believe it's you. And then 6 months go by. And then all of a sudden, you start hearing people talk about Laquisha. It's like, oh man, it's that thing that I was in. Cool, oh, the trailer's out? I can't wait to see what this thing is. Oh no! how can I green screen my way out of this thing? Like, how can you like edit can you put one of those cop blur faces on me in the crowd right now? I felt so bad for those extras, because you know that for an extra, you're not getting told what the thing is actually about. Mm-hmm. That's not how any of this works. So yeah, wow, I felt bad for those guys. But so this film, eventually he realizes, I can't even remember what makes him realize he has to do this, but he just decides, you know what? Yeah, I'm done. I'm gonna tell people that's me. And he decides to quit, but then the fake Laquisha.
No, it was after he had the conversation with himself.
With himself? Oh, that's what they did? Okay.
Yeah. It's like, you need to stop being a fake or some shit like that.
Yeah. So he decides that he's going to stop doing the show. So then the fake Laquisha says, well, then I'll do the show. I'm going to keep doing this. And it shows her first episode of just her show. And within the span of like 30 seconds of a montage, she goes from, oh, hi, everybody, it's me, Laquisha. I'm back. I know you all thought that'd be gone, but I'm back. It goes from that in like 3 or 4 cuts to, you all need to listen to me because I'm God. I'm the ultimate rule in everything. This is like almost the actual line she's saying. It is that insane how quickly she turns on this. And the studio execs are about to fire her, so she goes back to Joe, says, listen, you need my help. I need your help. I need you to come back. I'm sorry that I said that I could do this without you. So Joe goes to the studio execs, goes to them, reveals everything that's happening, and they're like, oh, God, I can't believe that you were Laquisha the whole time. Well, we need to figure out what we're going to do about the fake Laquisha. What are we going to do about her? And I cannot get over, like, you want to talk about how ignorant this film is. This film that is all about a white man pretending to be a black woman ends with 3 white men in a room talking about how they're going to handle the black woman who is the real villain of this whole movie. Oh my God, like, wow. That is a level of just ignorance that like actually made me mad. Well, okay, hold on. I'm sorry. That makes it sound like I wasn't mad up until this point.
Like, even madder.
Even madder. Like, it's one of those things that you look at and you're just like, how the fuck did you not realize what you, like, in the movie where the white guy is pretending to be the black woman, you still made the actual black woman the villain of this, and now it's up to 3 white men to figure out how to take care of her. Oh my God. Wow. Like, I'm not even gonna talk about that anymore. So this thing ends after he makes the big reveal of what he was doing. The black woman that he's dating comes up to him and goes, I can't believe that you were doing this. Do you not understand what a terrible stereotype you were being and how offensive it is what you were doing? And we thought, oh shoot, they're actually addressing this fact. Someone is actually saying to his face what needed to be said to him. Someone's addressing this. And his response is, yeah, well, what about you? You did this, this, and this. You didn't even tell me that you like me. You called in Laquisha and told her that you like me. And then she goes, well, I guess you have a point. Oh my God! The one person who actually addressed the terrible thing he was doing, he just instantly flipped that shit back and went, no, you're the real villain in all this. Me, Joe, totally clean in all this. Totally not to blame in all this. And this then ends with the radio show having a poll to see what people wanted to do with him. Are they going to cancel the show? Have it just be the Joe show? Or have Laquisha have a show? 20% say cancel. 40% say it would have to be the Joe show. Meaning 40% also said it had to be the Laquisha show. So now he hosts 2 shows. So even after his girlfriend came to him and said, this is the terrible thing that you've been doing, he decides, I'm going to keep doing the terrible thing, and she's happy for him continuing to do the terrible thing.
It's like, he doesn't just get 1 show, he gets 2 shows, like one right after the other. It's like it's one thing.
He gets no there are no comeuppance for him, only additional rewards.
And it's like,
wow.
Like, honestly, it's like one thing to have your own show and like have like a fake character or something.
Yeah.
But no, Laquisha gets her very own show.
It's not even like, listen, we're going to do the Joe show, but I know you guys still like that, but we can't do it as a whole show, so 5 minutes I'll come on here every single day and just do everything, which would be bad enough. I'm not saying
honestly, it is bad, but
I'm not saying that would be fine. I'm saying they did something even worse than that.
Yes.
Oh my God. This thing, listen, I know I've been smiling while talking about this, but it's because when your brain doesn't know what to do with information, it just starts laughing. It just wants to go, fuck it, just turn into the Joker right now. Like, I'm about to go up to someone and ask them if they know how I got these scars on my face. Because this thing fucking broke me. This thing, I kept looking at it just like, this can't be real. This isn't happening, everyone. What? How is this made? Like, I can understand it being made. I can understand there being stupid, ignorant people out there in the world. How the fuck did Amazon look at this and go, we gotta get in on this? Everyone's talking about this, which, you know what? Everyone was talking about that trailer. When that trailer came out, everyone was discussing this, but not for the right reasons. And I do have to stress this. There is such a thing as bad advertising. There's that old saying, there's no such thing as bad publicity. I'm sorry, I'm starting to hiccup because I'm getting so upset here. There is no such thing as bad publicity. I've always hated that term because yes, there is. There's some things that are so terrible and hateful and stupid that they're toxic. No one wants to touch that shit. Why did Amazon want to touch this? I don't understand this. It is perplexing to me. But I mean, we did watch it because listen, if I had to pay for this thing, I would not have paid for it. So, I don't know. Maybe the joke was on me all along. I don't know, but that is it for the Gauntlet of Garbage. I got nothing else that I want to say about this, ever. But I have to because we have to do the worst movies of the year list, which will be coming up this week. And you know what? Going into this, I was like, I don't know if the worst one is The Haunting of Sharon Tate or Loqueesha, because Loqueesha is offensive, but The Haunting of Sharon Tate was also offensive and also physically painful to watch because of how bad the filmmaking was. But man, after talking about this, I think I have my answer. Oh, I'm not even leaving you guys in suspense on that one.
Honestly, let's see. A movie that's offensive to what happened to a celebrity versus a movie that's offensive to half the people on the entire planet. Not even, more than that, probably.
Yeah, this one, you're right, yes. You have a point. So come back and find out what. I guess I should actually give a score. Yeah, this is obviously a 1. It's a 1, and the only reason I don't go below a 1 is because a 0 is like a snuff film, I guess. But yeah, this is obviously a 1, which we've been doing film reviews for years. I've never given a 1 out. This year for the Gauntlet of Garbage, we had 2 1s. So, wow. This year, 2019. What the fuck, man? What was wrong with you?
A lot.
Yeah. So we have one more request for the best, in which we'll be talking about one good film, because we can't go out on this.
No.
We can't go out on this. So come back and find out what our final good movie of the year was. And then we'll do our best movies of the year and our worst movies of the year list. So come back and find out what numbers 10 through 2 were for our worst movies of the year list. Bye, everyone.
Bye.